16 days after Sarah Payne went missing, the body of a young girl was found in a shallow grave in a field.
I felt that as a senior investigation officer, it was my duty to explain to the family what we'd found and what we were going to do.
He came down, he was nervous and shuffling and quite awkward, and I knew something was wrong.
Some of the children were there, but Dad was out, and Sarah said she didn't want to be told until everyone was present.
I think I had an inkling of what he was going to say, and I didn't want to hear that, so I just kept stalling him and stalling him and stalling him. It was at that moment, literally, it came over the press.
Police have taken away the body of a young girl found just 10 miles from the home of the missing 8-year-old Sarah Payne.
The children came running out of the back door, and it was just literally, they had heard it before I had heard it.
We saw it literally at exactly the same time. Just so happened we had the channel on, which was obviously a bit confusing for us, because we were kind of like, well, hold on a minute, why haven't we been told?
An intensive search continued by forensic teams. They've been gathering evidence and DNA samples, which are being sent off for analysis.
We have been able to identify that the body in the field half a mile from here is Sarah Payne's. This is now a murder inquiry.
My entire world finished right at that moment. I insisted on going to see her. The police didn't want me to, because there really wasn't very much left of her. Luke asked me, how did we know it was her if I didn't check? So that was another sort of, wow. And again, I was sort of questioning, oh, I should have gone and checked, because these children need me to tell them that she's died and it's okay. She's not with us anymore.
There is no way that Sarah should see her beautiful little baby looking as she did then. It was just too upsetting for words. She was abducted. She was sexually assaulted because she didn't have any clothes on, so there's only one reason for that.
With the discovery of Sarah's body, the police immediately went back to their prime suspect, Roy Whiting, arresting him for a second time.
We rearrested Whiting, this time on suspicion of murder, and interviewed him again. No comment. There was nothing on Sarah or at the scene to link Roy Whiting or the van to that location. So he had to be released again.
For the second time, the police could find no evidence to link Whiting to the murder. Just hours after being told of Sarah's death, Sarah and Mike gave one last press conference.
First of all, we want to thank everyone for your support. And thank God we found her now. Thank God. We've got a job now.
And that's to catch this person. For what reason? For what reason would you do this to someone?
We can't even see our daughter because it's too hard. And it's not Sarah. And I don't believe that anyone should be allowed to do that to anybody.
We went to see the field a few days later. We took the children because they needed that closure too. Charlotte just wanted to keep all of the teddies.
Mum had told me that Sarah's in heaven, but I couldn't get my head around it. It's all a blur to me. I don't necessarily remember the investigation and when her body was found and things like that, but I remember the impact it had on my mum and dad's relationship, having to see two people that were so close and loved each other slowly fall apart and not be the same people they were was really tough. Because I don't think any child should watch their parents go through that struggle of being in such a dark place and not being able to help them.
There's a story here in the Telegraph.
I think that's when they were, when we found Sarah, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can see, you know, little Charlotte here is just so frightened. And she's just sort of looking at me as if to say, take it all away.
I don't remember a lot of my childhood because of all that trauma that happened that day, and loads of people being around, loads of policemen and newspapers, and it's really strange, and it does isolate you as a person, I think.
When, you know, you got that much media attention on you, you don't really find time to grieve. We weren't really allowed to kind of talk to each other about the case and things and what we'd seen.
Lee had seen this man. Can you imagine how haunted he must have been for his entire life by that man smiling at him with his sister in the back of a van?
The whole scenario of her being in the van with him, and it plays in my head. I can't sleep. Of what he might have done to her or what he said to her. The worst thing is how she felt being in that van on her own, away from her brothers, her sisters.
What those children have had to go through is terrifying.
Since the discovery of Sarah's body, Whiting had been kept under close police surveillance, and their perseverance was about to pay off.
In the immediate aftermath of finding the body, Roy Whiting went into some sort of panic, didn't he? Commits another crime.
Yes, stole a car. There was an attempt by a marked police vehicle to stop him, at which point he started to drive like a lunatic.
County Oak Industrial Estate. It's going a right into an unmade road.
Eventually crashed the car and was arrested for the theft of a car. He was remanded in custody and pleaded guilty and received a prison sentence.
Whiting was sentenced to 22 months, but police still had no evidence that connected him to the murder. 2 months after Sarah disappeared from the field, her family were finally able to lay her to rest.
Mike was really struggling. It was just too much for him to bear. His mental health couldn't bear the murder of his daughter. He was destroyed, completely destroyed by Sarah's murder.
After the death of their daughter, Sarah and Mike struggled with their relationship and separated in 2003.
Dad found it the hardest, by far. You know, I think he felt a lot of guilt and kind of took it all on his shoulders.
You know, I used to get angry with him sometimes, and that's because it's like, it's not just you, Dad, that was my sister, like, that was my sister as well. Like, it's not just your daughter, like, I feel it as well, I miss her.
It had affected him so deeply that he was never going to recover from Sarah's death.
Sarah was finally at rest, but her killer was still at large. With Roy Whiting behind bars for stealing a car, the police finally got the breakthrough they'd been waiting for.
When the identity of Sarah's body was confirmed, that seemed to then spark something in the public. Someone came forward with a really crucial piece of information.
A lady was walking in a country road very close to where the burial site was, and she saw this shoe. And there was fibres of Sarah Payne's blue sweatshirt on that shoe. So we knew that is Sarah's shoe. And we can prove that Roy Whiting's red sweatshirt, fibres from that were also on the shoe.
At last, there was the tiniest but undeniable shred of evidence.
Having found then the link between the shoe and the sweatshirt, that prompted them to look at the tapings on the sweatshirt. There's obviously a lot of fibres on the tapings, but there's also a single strand of hair, which are able to subject to DNA analysis and prove it came from Sarah.
A warrant was issued. He was brought from prison to Bognor police station.
He's a local man, and I can confirm that it is the same man
that we've arrested on 2 previous occasions. And then he was formally charged with the murder of Sarah Payne.
You are charged that on Saturday, the 1st of July 2000, at Kingston Gorse, West Sussex, or elsewhere, you murdered Sarah Evelyn Isabel Payne.